the Gourmet Gambit, and this is the second episode of Homebrew Mead. In the first episode you have become familiar with all the material, products and ingredients, and also how your tools are working in this brewing process. If you haven't seen the first episode about the materials, tools, products and ingredients, here is a list that can be helpful. Brewing mead is not as difficult as brewing beer, but it still needs a precise method if you want to control the whole processes from the beginning to the end. It also needs more than just water, honey and yeast. That's what I already explained in the first episode, but I'm also going to get you up to date in this video. So now it's time to start the actual brewing of the mead. So to start, we're going to sanitize all our material we need. I'm using this no rinse sanitizer, and this product needs 4 grams for 1 liter. I take 6 liters of water and you multiply 4 grams by 6, which makes 24 grams. Just put it in water and we're going to stir it well to dissolve this. And then you just put in all the little bits you want to sanitize, the airlocks, the hydrometer, and I'm still keeping some sanitizer in my spray bottle, so everything I need which I didn't sanitize, I can sanitize it in 2 minutes with my spray bottle. Everything is sanitized. We're going to start with making our mixture. First we're going to start to pour in our mineral water. Well, it's much easier to pour your honey in if you leave it in a warm water bath for 10 minutes. Not too hot, something like 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. We still need to rinse our honey pots with warm water to get all the honey out. If you mix 35 grams of honey into 1 liter of water, you will have about 12 degrees of alcohol in the end. That's about 1/3 of honey comparing to the water. I want a much stronger mead, one of those good medieval meads, the one they make a lot in Scandinavian countries. They're a lot more stronger and they got a really nice sweetness. So I'm using 18 liters of water for 9 kilos of honey. Now when you're going to put in your honey, you really have to stir it all the time. And you just put some water back in your honey pot, give it a good shake. You got most of your honey out of there. So with my 9 kilo of honey, that gives me 26 liters, and of course we're going to lose some of this because of the sediments. You have to stir this really well. All the honey needs to be really good mixed in with the water. Now everything is well stirred up. It's time we're going to do our pH test to see how much acids we need to put in our bucket. So we're going to take a glass and we're going to put our pH test strip in there for a couple of seconds. You do the reading on the middle one and you can see that the corresponding color is in between 5 and 4, and we have to get it down 2 points to 3. So we have to put more acidity in here to get our acidity to 3. Always read the instructions when you're working with these acids. If you got citric acid or tartaric acid, or the mixture which I have. This mixture is 10 grams for 10 liters. So we got 26 liters. That makes actually 26 grams to get 1 point down. We need to get it more than 2 points down. So we're going to use 52 grams for the whole bucket. And again, we're going to give it a real good stir so it really mixes up well. So we're also going to put in our oat chips. You can put in 5 to 30 grams for 10 liters. I think 30 grams is a little bit too much, and we just want it to have a very light flavor. So I'm going to put in 10 grams per 10 liters. That's 26 grams as well. And you can always put more wood chips in there when you start your secondary fermentation. We're also gonna put our nutrients in there, the nutrients for the yeast, but we're not gonna put our yeast in there because we're gonna use Camden sulfite to kill all the bacteria and the wild yeast in our wort overnight. This is the same, it's 5 to 10 grams for 10 liters. I'll take 10 grams, so I'm sure that there's a lot of nutrient for our yeast in there. So that makes it 26 grams. We're going to dilute this, our nutrients, in a small glass of our wort. Give it a good stir. Our Camden sulfate, this is 1 gram for 10 liters. What we need here is 2.5 gram. It's really not much. Don't overdo this. And again, we give it a good stir. Put the lid on our bucket. We're going to take our airlock. This is the level we want. Lid on there. So we're going to leave this overnight. This is going to kill all the bacteria, all the wild yeast. So tomorrow we have a clean wort to put our yeast in and start off the first fermentation. Here we are the next day. Our potassium metabisulfite has done its work. So it's time to put in our yeast and get this baby to ferment. So we need a pot or a bucket and of course our sanitizer. Sanitize everything you're going to use. And of course we got our yeast. I'm using a yeast special for Mead. This yeast has a good scale of temperature where it can work with. It also has a good resistance to alcohol. Now if you got another yeast, a lager, beer yeast, a sweet wine yeast or a champagne yeast, you have to make a starter. And the facility of this yeast is also that you can put it directly in the wort. How do you make a starter? You take 1 cup of water with a temperature of 30 degrees Celsius and you put in your yeast. You put a plastic food wrap over your cup. You leave it for half an hour. The yeast is going to get to work. Then you take 20% of your wort in a pan or a bucket and pour the yeast in the bucket with your 20% of wort and let it ferment for about 4 hours, and then you can put it back with the rest of the wort. Before we put in the yeast, we need to pull some oxygen in our wort. Yeast needs oxygen to work with. So I'm taking a stainless steel pan. You can use a plastic bucket. Never use aluminum, copper, brass or iron for fermenting purposes. 2 ways to get oxygen in your wort is by stirring it. You have to stir it for quite a while before you get a good amount of oxygen in there. That's much easier, and that is using a pot. We're going to put on the floor underneath the tap. We're going to fill this up for 2 to 3 times. This is also a good way to put oxygen in your wort. It's a faster way, a quicker way. And you only have to do this 2 or 3 times, depending the amount of wort you have. And just put it back in. Always prefer to the notice of your yeast to find out how much you need. These ones are 1 packet of 10 grams for 23 liters. So I get 26, so I need a little bit more. And then we really have to give it a good stir. And now it's time to make some measurements to see the potential alcohol we can expect at the end. You can fill up one of these plastic tubes to put your hydrometer in there. You can also do it directly in the wort. When you put your hydrometer in the wort, give it a good stir so the oxygen bubbles won't stick on your hydrometer, and then all you got to do is read the scale, the alcohol scale or the density scale. So my readings are giving me about 15 degrees of alcohol at the end. If you want more alcohol, you have to pour more honey in there. If you want less alcohol, you have to pour some more water in there, and again do your readings. I'm going to leave it this way. I think 15 degrees is a nice compromise for a mead. So again, we're going to close our bucket. Make sure it's really closed. And we're going to fill up our airlock. Put the little button in there. And put the airlock on the top. It's going to take a few days to start a regular fermentation, and that's also because this special yeast for mead produces a very slow fermentation, the kind of fermentation that is excellent for mead making. It gives us a very good quality of mead. From now on, we need to get some oxygen in the wort every 4 days. So the best method is, as I showed you, with the pot or a bucket, fill it up and reverse it 2-3 times. And we're going to continue doing this every 4th day until we're going to rack our wort in the second bucket for a secondary fermentation. Don't forget to check out your airlock, that it still has a good level of water, so the oxygen can't get into the bucket. And we're going to be back in a 3rd episode that goes from the second fermentation to bottling. So see you back soon and have a nice day.